All right, fishing folks, our next guest is just frozen just now. I don't know if you can see me all right, but your video just froze on me. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you're live. Okay, there we go. Ready?
Yep.
All right, fishing folks, on this episode, we have Rick Paltry. I hope I said your last name right. Is it
Yeah,
Patry? Patry?
Patry.
All right, good deal. And he is the mastermind, the brainchild of Monster Bass, the tackle subscription boss that everybody's talking about. So, Rick, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Can't complain, can't complain. Now, I wanted to
Good.
have you on because you're doing some really good things in the subscription tackle box industry. I mean, there's some players already in the game, but you've come on like in the past year and you're really changing the way people think about what they should be looking for as far as their subscription tackle box goes. So, what was the idea behind starting Monster Bass when you began it?
I'll be honest, I didn't plan on creating Monster Bass. It just happened. And it's honestly been the best thing that ever happened to me. I was one of the original founders of Lucky Tackle Box. And I was there from the beginning, left about 2 years ago. And I left because I just had a difference of opinion on the way that we should transform our offering to keep up with the times. And at the time, you got Mystery, Lucky, and all these other guys that are out there, and they're all great companies, but they all send the same stuff. And not only are they just sending you random baits, they're filling the box full of brands that no one's ever heard of. And to me, if I'm 10 years old and I just want to fill my tackle box full of stuff, I just want to fill my tackle box full of stuff. I don't really care. It's like, when you're little and you're collecting cars, right? Like you just want like lots of cars to play with. And you just want, and when you're 8 years old, you just want to fill your tackle box and have tons of cool baits. And that's great. But as you get older, you realize that things like brand matters. You realize that the season matters. And the goal is, sure, the goal is to have fun. But the goal is also to catch more fish. The goal is to crush your personal best all the time. So I split from Lucky Tackle Box and I decided that I wanted to get back into the industry because, for those that aren't in the outdoor recreational space, it's probably one of the most fun industries that you can be in because you meet the nicest people.
Oh, yeah.
You may not make a ton of money, but it's a lifestyle industry and you're going to have a great time and you're going to get to do some really cool stuff. So I knew I wanted to get back in. So I wrote a business plan, went out and I raised some money. And this time I wanted to be in charge. I didn't want to have to answer to a finance guy like it did at my previous company. I wanted to be the guy that made all the decisions. So I raised some money and I built Monster Bass. And I built Monster Bass on the premise of we're going to focus on bass. The other companies, they do bass, salt, catfish, trout, whatever. And if there was something that I took from Lucky Tackle Box, it was you can't be being a jack of all trades and master of none really doesn't benefit the consumer. So I just picked bass. I said, we're going to focus only on bass and we're going to do it better than everyone else because that's all that we do. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I want to regionalize the country. Because let's face it, the baits that the guy in Michigan is fishing with right now are not the same baits that the guy in Florida is. And so I wanted to regionalize. I wanted to be specific. And then I wanted to be very purposeful with the brands that we put in the box. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but if you look at my competitors, they all produce like 10 brands. Now, if there's one thing I've learned from bait making, because I have one brand of baits, Monster Bass, it's really hard to make baits. Like we've been around for just about a year. I've only been able to manufacture 3 baits in a year's time. And if all I cared about was profit margin, I'd just go to China and I'd be like, give me a jerk bait, a crank bait, a buzz bait, a spinner bait, and throw the Monster Bass brand on it.
Yep.
I'd put them in the box. I could make way more money. But it's actually really hard because most of the baits over there that are just off the shelf, they don't run true out of the box. They're made from cheap materials, and I'm not going to put my name on it. So I wanted to make sure that we didn't stuff the box with just made up brands. We put the best brands in the box as well. So I felt like if we came out with a subscription box that was regionalized based upon the places you love to fish, and my team suggested baits based upon what they knew to be true about the region and the season, that we'd have a better offering. And then the last thing was full transparency. At my previous job, we would have influencers and you almost have characters, like Mystery has Carl Von Dibble. He's their character. I didn't want to have a character. I wanted to be the face of the company and be very transparent with my consumers. I wanted to be approachable. I wanted to be upfront and honest when we made mistakes. I wanted to celebrate my wins, but be out in front and open and tell everyone that, like, hey, listen, we screwed up and this is how we're going to fix it. Because I feel like that's the kind of person I'd want to buy from. And so that's the kind of company I'm trying to build.
Good deal. So now you have Monster Bass. You've been in there for a whole year now. So what is the next step? What are you planning to grow this into? For instance, do you want to have a full line of baits that under the Monster Bass label? Do you want to eventually expand it past bass fishing?
So, to answer your question, I want to have. I look at Monster Bass as a digital consumer brand that encompasses everything from a full line of baits through to apparel, and equipment. And I'd like to be in every major retailer across the country. I'm not going to come out with 10 brands because it's really hard. I'm going to come out with one, and we're going to do it slowly. I've got 2 more baits coming. We've got clothing. And so, we're a small company, but in terms of the number of employees, there's only 4 of us. So we're going to focus on expanding our product line in terms of the baits that we can offer. But then we're also going to move into a kids box. So we're probably going to come out with a beginner box or a light box, awesome, whatever you want to call it. Probably about $9, like really cheap, really inexpensive. And the reason why we're going to do that is because, a kid loves to fish just as much as anyone else. But you know what? At the end of the day, their longevity in the sport is probably determined by probably parent involvement and probably their success rate. Mm-hmm. And they don't need a $15, $25, $30 a month product. What they need is like $9 with, hey, this month we're going to teach you how to use spinner baits. Here's 3 different spinner baits, 3 videos on how to use each one, some cool stickers, and that's it. And next month, you know what? We're going to teach you how to use the Texas rig, right? And we're going to teach you how to rig it. Here's the baits, so that, it's the perfect gift that grandma can give, or it's the perfect thing that, dad and his son and his kid can, daughter or son can do together. And it's something that they look forward to. And it's not, it's nothing that breaks the bank. And so I think that's a market that's not being addressed. And then what we'll probably do in the fall, we may have an ice fishing box. We're going to survey our customers and just make a decision on, is there enough desire to have an ice fishing box in the winter so that, people just don't cancel. I think for 2020, that's a good growth plan. I don't want to spread ourselves too thin.
Good deal. So let's get into it. You go to the website, monsterbass.com. You answer a couple of questions. Put where you're at. If you're consider yourself a professional or beginner or whatnot. And then you get a choice of 2 boxes, a $25 a month box and a $35 a month box. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we've got 2 different options, right? Some people just want to get a box every month, right? They're more concerned about getting a good deal, right? They want a box just like my competitors. So we've got that. Our $25 box is our national box. It's a great sampling of baits, good for this time of year, but it's not specific to the area of the country. And we've got our Regional Pro Series box, which is the $35 offering. And that's one where we break the country into 6 different regions. And we tailor, we handpick baits based upon the places you love to fish. Today we have 6 regions. I anticipate those regions growing over time. At some point, Florida is going to be its own region because, Florida is unlike anything else anyway. I mean, you can't send a deep diver to Florida because there's not a lake in Florida that's going to be deep enough.
Mm-hmm.
So as our customer base grows, we'll increase the number of regions so that we can get really specific about the baits that you're going to receive.
Good deal. Now, I'm from Florida, so I have the same issue. The reason why I don't like a lot of the boxes is simply that there's a lot of things that comes into a box that I just can't use or I wouldn't use.
Sure.
And that's why I like the regional aspect of what you're doing. And you have some sticks. You have like Alex Rudd, to name a few, who's helping you regionalize these lures to put into a box. So what makes you choose the people who are helping you in these areas? Is it a certain criteria that they have to be a part of, or is it just a handful of people that you know and you trust?
It's a combination. So obviously I want people that I know and trust. But the way I built the team was this. I didn't focus on who had the biggest following, because you can have the biggest following but not be a student of the game. Alex Rudd's constantly trying to learn, and Alex Rudd's constantly putting out stuff. He's not going to tell you to go fish with a bait from some company just because they offered him $5, right? He's only going to fish with the brands that he likes. He's going to recommend the baits that are specific for that time of year, and he's approachable. So I wanted, one of the cool things in the box is when you open it up, it's got one flap for, hey, you got a problem? Here's how you can contact support. We'll fix all your problems. You got a question about the baits in your box, contact these people. And I was able to list a pro per region. And what that allows you to do is reach out to, Nick, the Informative Fisherman, or Alex Rudd, or Ben Nowak, or Travis Manson. These are legitimate sticks, and they're knowledgeable guys that, if you got a question on, hey, how do I pair this headbanger, jig head with, what soft plastic goes with it, you can reach out to one of these guys and they'll answer all your questions. And to me, that's what I wanted it to be. Was I wanted us to be an approachable team that could help you catch more fish.
That's awesome. And the one thing I think that you do that is amazing that I love is that you put out a video, I think in that same area you're at right now, talking about the baits you have in the box. And even the boxes coming up, I wrote some of them down, like the Z-Man Sling Blade coming in one of the boxes, I think the May box, if I'm not mistaken, or the June box.
Yeah, the June box, for sure.
And that's a great bait. And then you have new brands like Chase Baits and Rabbit Baits who have really good products that look interesting, that people can actually test out and try, that, those brands are up and coming brands with really good products. So you have a wide variety of well-known brands and up and coming brands in your boxes that people could really try and expand what they're doing in the fishing industry.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think, listen, if I just sent you a box full of, let's just pick any brand, Strike King. If I just sent you Strike King every single month, I mean, at some point you might as well just go to Academy or Walmart or Dick's and just buy whatever you want. I think the goal of the box should be to get a great sampling of box that are appropriate for the places that I love to fish, for the time of year I'm receiving it, from well-respected brands, as well as from up-and-coming brands in the industry that may not be available at the big box store that I go to. Like Rabbit Baits is literally got this cult-like following up around Lake Erie, and now, and we got in contact with them, we partnered with them, and I would say now that, like, Rabbit Baits, people are starting to recognize them for being really innovative, because you go to ICAST and they have the new product showcase, and it's like, oh, here's this new innovative crankbait, and I look at it, I'm like, it's the same crankbait. Like, there's there are very few times where someone says, hey, this is a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at it and go, oh yeah, it's a game changer. But when these guys sent this to me, I was like, wait a minute, why hasn't anyone else done this before? All they do is take like bucktail fur and put it out of the appendages on the cross. But when you see that thing moving in the water, it's amazing.
And great.
And whether it's designed to catch fish or fishermen, either way, they did a great job. And I think it's my job to make sure you're getting a good mix of products that are well respected and up and coming brands.
What has been your favorite? Wait, your head is, there we go. There we
I
go.
like it. I like it.
There
Now,
we go.
now you're on
All
my
right.
side.
A little better. All right.
Okay.
So what has been one of your favorite baits that you have had in the box that you say, oh man, I wish I could have a whole box full of these?
We recently partnered with a company called Bait Labs.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it's interesting the way that they spell the name B, the number 8, and then lab. And they went through an RFP process. They were trying to decide who they wanted to work with because they didn't want to work with all 3 companies. And ultimately they settled on partnering with Monster Bass because they liked our business model and our approach to working with our consumers. And so they're going to launch 3 exclusive baits in the box this year. And the last one that they put in was almost like a hybrid between a jerk and a crankbait. And I tell you, that bait has been just crushing it. I love it. It's literally one of my favorite new baits. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do because Sean, the guy who runs the company, he keeps telling me about these new baits that are coming, and I get so excited because each time he sent me something, I have not been disappointed. So Bait Lab is definitely one of them. My partnership with Strike King is very important to me. So I can't say enough about them, and I can't say enough about my partnership with Z-Man and Lunker Hunt. Those 3 companies have been very good to me, and we've got some exciting things planned with some of those companies.
Good deal. Good deal. Now you're in Cali, California. Yeah. You guys are pretty much on a heavy lockdown over there, right?
Yeah, you can't go anywhere. Like literally, you can't go into the store without having a mask. You can't walk down the street. I was walking down the street on Sunday just trying to get some steps in. I was drinking a coffee, and the cops pulled right up next to me, and they're like, "Yeah, put your mask on." And I said, "Well, I'm just drinking my coffee and walking." And they're like, "Just put it on as soon as you're done." I'm like, "Yeah." So yeah, they take it pretty seriously here.
So no fishing either?
You can go. That's a good question. I have not personally gone fishing. I think you can go fishing.
Yeah.
You can go fishing. You just got to, social distancing.
Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. So with Monster Bass, like I said, you have a subscription box is really growing pretty fast.
Yeah.
Do you see it getting to the level of your competitors? Like how quickly are you going? The interest that people have in Monster Bass, I don't want you to say your numbers or anything like that, but a lot of people from my world, just a regular fisherman, they talk about Monster Bass a lot.
Yeah.
So I know you have a lot of subscribers and a lot of people, subscribing to the box, but do you see a flood of people talking about your brand and loving your brand and coming back? What's the feedback you're getting from people? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Great question. So we are now, when I was at Lucky Tackle Box, I think at our height, we had about 50,000 subscribers. And that was however many years ago. I couldn't, I don't know. What I can tell you today is that in a year's time, we've gone from brand new to the number 2 player in the market. We surpassed Lucky Tackle Box. Now, Lucky doesn't have 50,000. I don't really know how many they have, but I know that their numbers aren't what they were back in the heyday. In fact, I think it's probably down across the board for almost all of the companies.
Mm-hmm.
What was your question again?
Just the feedback on what's the feedback?
The feedback. So the feedback has been really interesting. I think we've been very upfront, honest, and transparent with our communications with our customers. And as a result, the feedback's been really good. And I think the feedback has been much more forgiving because, take shipping, right? I mean, worldwide, FedEx, UPS, USPS, they are overloaded because now everyone's buying everything online.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, like there's delays and everything. It's, normally people are just like, losing their minds when their box is a day late. And I tell them, like, just, bear with us. There's not much I can do. You got to understand the world that we live in. And because I'm out front, I think the reception has been much better. I would say overall, and I try not to drink the Kool-Aid too much because, it's very easy to drink the Kool-Aid and then lose touch with what's really being said about your brand out there. But I respond to almost every comment that we get on Facebook, YouTube, on social media. And I respond to a lot of support tickets. And I would say for the most part, we've done a really good job of providing a quality product, the best customer service. I'll put our customer service up against anyone's, and really good communication. We've made some mistakes. I mean, our old boxes would get crushed. Excuse me. We get crushed all the time in the mail, so I had to redesign them. There's been instances where, a bait doesn't get put in by the warehouse. We just ship you another one, or we give you a credit. Like, we're really transparent. I think the result has been just solid feedback in the industry that we're trying to do it differently. We're trying to do it right. And we're trying to surround ourselves with a really good group of people within the Monster Bass community.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I've heard nothing but great things about Monster Bass. And when I first got into the industry, one of my very first clients was a subscription tackle box company. Not going to say who it is, of course, but yeah, and they had a lot of issues and they did things a certain way. And I was not a big fan of what they were doing and how they did it. Just put it that way. So seeing what you're doing, I have a lot of respect for you because, one, I know it's not easy at all to do what you're doing and to please as many people as you're making happy. It's not
hard.
An easy task whatsoever.
No, it's hard.
So that's why my admiration for you and Monster Bass is so big, because you're doing something that before you came along, I thought your industry was dead or dying or going away. And I don't think that way anymore. For Monster Bass, at least. So I applaud you. I think you have a great product, and I'm literally, when we get off of here, I'm going to subscribe. And I've never had a Monster Bass box. I'm going to subscribe to a Monster Bass box myself. And you have a client in me for the very near future.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
I appreciate that. Thank
you.
But
I'm not going to keep you too long, but tell everybody how to get in contact with Monster Bass, or if they want to learn more information about it. Where do they go? What do they do?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about Monster Bass, you can visit us at monsterbass.com. And if you're interested in giving us a try, you could use promo code SAVE10, and you can save $10 off your first box. We go live on Instagram pretty much almost every day at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern time. And I'll answer any question you have. I'll give you sneak peeks on what's coming in the box. We'll talk about anything I'm thinking in terms of the go-forward strategy for the company. We bring on, guests all the time, and we just have a lot of fun. We talk about all things Monster Bass.
Good deal. Well, Rick, thanks again for coming on. I do appreciate it. We'll be in touch. And if there's any time you want to have an announcement, want to come on the podcast, talk anything, let me know. We can make it happen.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too, buddy. Take care.
All right. Thank you.